Hello and welcome back to Talkin Hearthstone, the podcast where, well, we talk about Hearthstone. I'm Tito Santana. This is episode 18. I'm back. This will be a bit on the shorter side of episodes, but it's been a long time coming, and coming back after a brief hiatus. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but not get into too much detail. I have been, as most of you guys have known, I am currently unemployed. That's hopefully about to change. But just been a lot going on in my life, and having two Hearthstone podcasts was a bit much at the time, mostly because I've had to deal with some things, and I had to reprioritize some things. And if we're being honest, a small podcast where I'm talking to a small audience, which I appreciate you and where we'll be growing, but I had to prioritize doing other things. And this may still be the case. I may be doing this podcast a little bit less for now until my situation shifts around. But I plan on keeping this going. I don't plan on dropping it. I just got to find the right way and time to do it. I love doing this. This is a lot of fun. And I'm not really worried about much anything except trying to get back out there. I know in order to be a podcast you want to listen to, I need to be consistent. And I talk every week. I've talked to Blister Guy about that too. It's like, it doesn't really matter. Just try to do it, be consistent. People can know what to expect from you. And I hope you all know that once I can figure out my situation, I will be more consistent and get out there. But for now, I just wanted to talk to you because it's been a while. So right now, I am in my dining room versus my office because we had a leak in my roof. It wasn't the roof; it was a pipe in the wall from a baseboard heater, which has displaced me from my office and is currently filling up two bathrooms, my living room, and my office with heaters and dehumidifiers because the people that come and deal with leaks have been here, and I don't think you can hear the machines running in the background, but they are. So we are now in a temporary space. This has been a thing that was not needed on top of everything else. Even today, actually, not yesterday, today, I have a cap on my tooth which fell out again. It's not really solid. I need to wait till I have work in order to get dental work properly done so I can pay for it. Um, but I have to get that tooth put back in. So it's just been one thing after another. But uh, good news on the job seeking front is I think I have a job. The problem is that's the good news. The bad news is it's going to take a couple weeks to get an offer and then take maybe up to a couple months before I can start working based on things that need to happen first, which not ideal, but at least there's a end in sight. So it's going to be nice to have that put behind me. It's going to change my life quite a bit. If everything goes well, I will not be home in where I live right now during the week. I will be living a couple hours away because that's near where I'd be working. It's fine. It's not ideal because I'd rather be home with my son and see him every day and make sure I'm part of the routine. But for right now, it's a good opportunity. Hopefully, I can switch to some kind of telecom role in the future. Telecommunication. I've been not telecommunication, but working from home role. I've been doing that since 2008, before it was cool, before COVID happened. So I'd like to keep doing that, but for now, I at least got to go in, do the work, prove myself, and have some success. So I'm looking forward to it. The job's right up my alley. I'm not even like settling for a job just to have a job. I found what looks like it could be almost a perfect job for me and the skill sets I bring. So we're looking forward to that. There's other personal stuff going on. Like I said, I'm not going to get into that, but it does remind you, and it specifically reminded me, not that I'm never not kind, I don't think, but you got to remember that if you have content creators out there and they do take a break or they do stream less, or even if they're streaming but they seem a little off, you never know what's going on in people's lives. You never know that maybe they're streaming, but their mom died, or they have a sick pet, or a billion other things that could be not keeping them in the right mental space. So just remember to always be kind because just a little kindness can go a long way. And people in my circles, especially in the Hearthstone community, have been really, really kind and wonderful. And it's just a reminder, like the people that you follow and that make content for you, just you never know what they're doing. So just gotta keep there. As far as Hearthstone, because we're here to talk about Hearthstone, but I did want to give you an update. I've been playing the new set. I haven't played a ton of new decks, or I haven't really branched out that much. Believe it or not, I have not played a single game of Paladin since the set launched. I'm gonna wait till it's good or better, at least, than it is now. They need to make some changes or some adjustments to Librams. I'm confident they will, but we'll see what happens in this first balance patch, which should be out in a week. But I started off playing. I did start off, and I tried to make some weird things work. I tried to make a Highlander Spore Spore Master Warrior work, where you have the Spore Master that shuffles in the things. I started off with like a Black Rock and Roll Shell because, of course, I did, and then I tried some other things, and it just didn't work. But I tried some other things too, just random stuff that I tried to make work. Wasn't quite there. I settled on Elemental Mage because that deck is really good. It's really fun too. It's not overly complicated, but it does have a couple different ways to win. You can win by overwhelming the board, getting some ship damage in, but you can also kind of have a big turn where you play down your minion that gives everything every elemental +1 fire damage that's in your deck. Play the play the Surger that fills up your board, and then hit him over the top with a bunch of spells that are cheap. That is really successful strategy. It's a lot of fun. I did play a lot of Asteroid Shaman early, and it wasn't good. But given that we haven't had balance changes yet, we've allowed the meta to develop, and we've actually got a couple good versions of the deck. They're not using the Meteor Shower, which is the 6 mana spell that it's either 5 or 6 mana, but it does 5 damage to everything. It's 6 mana. Does 5 damage to everything and shuffles 5 meteorites into your deck or asteroids into your deck. You would think that would be essential, but it really kind of is clunky. It kind of messes with your board, and it's not as good as it seems. I've been playing versions that have spell power. I think I'm playing a World 8 list that is really good. A couple of them have the Shutter Block, a couple of them don't. Run Insidious. But what you're really focusing on is you have a few more options of spell damage. You got Zappy Boy, you got Blow Rider to draw spells. You got the 2 mana 2/2. Whereas if you play it, you draw a spell, and if you play that spell, it gets +1/+2 in taunt. That draws more cards. It's a little more refined, I think. It's a lot of fun. I may be playing a lot of Asteroid Shaman this expansion. I'm expecting to get to I think 3,000 Shaman wins lifetime during this expansion, because I'm planning on playing it a lot, at least for now. It's just a lot of fun. I've been winning with it, or winning more than I'm losing, which is good. I did lose today at THL. I played Marty B, and I went 0-3. I wasn't that prepared for it, but I did try to do the best I could. I lost 2 games with the Asteroid Shaman, but I didn't also. I should have maybe teched it a little bit more for competition versus just ladder, and I got kind of rolled. But he's a good player. He's, I believe, top 23 in Wild right now, and no shame in that. But I do want to have a more successful seasons in THL, both in duos and in pro. I have to have a sub this week because we're playing Europeans, and with everything in the house. By the way, my stepdaughter had a new baby on Tuesday, so happy, healthy baby. We're all happy about that. But with so much going on, with my house being torn apart, lots of other things going on with this potential job and whatever, I really couldn't do duos this week. So Pilot's going to get a sub, and hopefully we'll come out of that. But I really want to focus on having a good season this time around. It's going to be tough because the competition is top notch, but I'm not a bad player either, so we're going to figure that out. So the main reason I wanted to come back and start talking today is not just the fact that it's been a while and I want to get back into the routine of this, but we had a big announcement yesterday for the 30th anniversary of Warcraft. And one of the things on Sunday on Bread and Butter I was talking about was I really wish they would dive more into the IPs that they had for Hearthstone, because they have kind of put it under Warcraft, and it came out of Warcraft. It was the Warcraft TCG that became this. But you have Overwatch, you have StarCraft, you have Diablo, you have three Vikings, you have a bunch of different places you can pull from, right? And give you more options on the cards and the themings of sets. And I'm not saying you need to go full board and include everything all at once, but I thought it would be good to at least just have one thing that would be interesting, and or not one thing, but like occasionally bring in some of these other IPs. And I nailed it because the mini set they announced for this expansion is early. The mini set's not coming early; they announced it early, but it's going to be StarCraft themed. It's going to have Protoss and Zerg and everything else. So pretty excited. Pretty cool that we called it kind of on the show. And I think that's going to be really fun and interesting. And I hope it leads to new and interesting things. But don't panic, because we already know the next three expansions for the next year of 2025. The year of the it wasn't Wolf. It was, I forget what year it was. They did announce it, but definitely wasn't Unicorn. So we learned on Bread and Butter again that Joss really wasn't all that in on the unicorns. It just kind of was a bit that became more of a bit. But it's all good. So next year, the first expansion will be Into the Emerald Dream. While lore nerds seem to love this, they did have a raid in one of the WoW expansions, the one where we fight the Titans and whatnot. We fight Sargeras. That was kind of underwhelming. It was a small first. It was the first raid of the expansion. It was okay. I don't really understand the obsession with the Emerald Dream personally. Like, it's fine. It's like a nice concept, and I like it. But everyone's like, "Oh, it's the Emerald Dream." It's like, it's fine. It's just a part of the lore, and I think we could do more. But so Into the Emerald Dream, we'll see how that goes, and then we know that the middle expansion of next year will be the Shrouded City. And what the Shrouded City is, it is a return to Ungoro Crater. They're calling it the first Hearthstone sequel that they've had. Although we did have Ice Crown, which came after March of the Lich King, or vice versa. So I think that technically this is the second sequel in some levels. But regardless, we're going back to Ungoro Crater, which means dinosaurs, probably adapts coming back. And I kind of like the concept of this in the way that we don't have to have a billion keywords like, say, Magic does. And it is nice that you can kind of revisit things. And I'm also just kind of projecting here that they will be bringing back Adept, but it kind of makes sense, right? So we'll see how that goes. And then we also have Heroes of Time. And that is a thing about Chromie, and apparently we're facing off against Muradin. But anytime you start going into time travel or whatnot, they can do a lot of wacky things. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for the whole year. I'm excited for every set that comes out. They're also making some updates to Arena. There's going to be 2 different Arena modes. I didn't research that much about it yet. I probably should have before I started talking, but we're going to, like I said, we're going to have Judge on this week to talk about the Arena changes on Bread and Butter. So I'll come back next time and talk about them more when I understand them a little bit better and kind of help you guys understand it. But I mean, it looks exciting. I'm glad they're giving Arena some love. And hopefully it's better. I mean, it's been getting better and better as far as I can tell. So I'm kind of hoping they move it in the right direction. So, I mean, that's that. I'm surprised they didn't talk about pets or anything like that. But, this is kind of nice that they came out and gave us all this information. It's going to be exciting. As far as this current set, I talked a little bit about what I've been playing. I love the theme. A lot of the new decks haven't really hit yet because they've just been more... The older decks have been better. I think they're going to address that in the first patch. I'm not particularly worried. I think they're going to buff Librams. I think they're going to buff the crewmates. I think they're going to buff a bunch of things. Or at the very least, they're going to bring the power level down on the things that are problematic. Ziliax is still, a problem. Reno, as predicted, is causing strife for people that want to play starships. And it's not really the reason why starships aren't functional, but at the same point, it is also kind of problematic where there's this mechanic that will destroy your starship, and it's not I'm sure they saw this coming, and I'm sure they kind of hoped it wouldn't be an issue, but I think for some people it's an issue. Also, Quasar Rogue is one of the things that everyone kind of either loves or doesn't love. it's not a good play pattern. It's not a good deck. Basically, on turn 4 or 5, if the rogue has everything lined up, which it does occasionally, then you sit there, you get up, you go get a drink, you have a snack, you come back, and either the rogue has beaten you, or maybe you just finish them off because they go through all their deck. They play Quasar, and they draw. The Quasar basically shuffles your hand into your deck and makes your entire deck cost 3 less, I think, or something like that. It's one of those kind of discount things. So they run a lot of draw, they run a lot of eviscerates and whatnot. And there's a couple different versions. There's ones with asteroids as well with the neutral. So there's a bunch of things you can do. It's not fun to play against, and I'm sure it's super fun to play. In fact, I really enjoyed not necessarily Quasar Rogue as it is now, but I was doing Quasar combo stuff um, in the Theory Crafting event, which I don't know if I have had an episode since I did the Theory Crafting event. That was a lot of fun. Also, thank you, Ridiculous Hat, for not only that, but also for something coming up in the future, which I will hopefully be able to talk about not next week, but the week after. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like a Ticketus kind of thing, but it's worse than Ticketus because Ticketus kind of just pissed you off when it, knocked 10 cards out of your deck, but you can still play. This is just kind of a solitaire on turn 4 or 5, and either you win or you lose, and it's really kind of out of your control at that point. So there's really not a whole lot of agency against that deck. So I don't know. I'll be happy to see it nerfed, but I don't want them to kill it either. I don't want them to kill anything right now. It's too early. It's only been like a week and a half, so or a week and a couple days actually. But overall, I love the theming of the set. I'm looking forward to playing with more of the new cards as they become available. As regards to buffs and power level, and we'll see what they do with that. I'm hoping to be back next week to talk about whatever buffs and nerfs we come our way. And overall, I'm just kind of, I'm digging Hearthstone, even with everything going on that I've talked about earlier on. I'm still playing a lot of Hearthstone. I still get on at night, and the first thing I think is, do I want to do something else or do I want to stream? And most of the time, I want to stream. And game's good. Yeah, Hearthstone's good. So follow me on Twitter and Twitch and TikTok, and now Blue Sky at Tito Santana HS. Like I said, this week on Bread and Butter, we had Warshak on, and we talked about the new expansion. We talked about just kind of, we talked about the new expansion and what we liked, what we didn't like, what we kind of expected it to be and whatnot. But we also talked about some other card games that are adjacent to Hearthstone, at least in the community, like where Snap is, Pocket Pokemon, and of course the Bazaar. So if you want to know a little bit more about those, where they are, especially the Bazaar, as it's kind of been popping up everywhere, I recommend you go ahead and go give that listen. I can talk. Talking is hard. Give a listen to that episode. And next week, the current plan on is we're going to have Judge and Zeddy on to talk about the announcement we just had, and especially kind of focus on that new arena mode. So we'll look forward to that. And then the week after that, it's episode 100. So we're really excited about that. We are proven, and that was the thing too. Was like when I was going through everything, I actually had reached out to Doc, my co-host on Bread and Butter, and I said, you know what, Doc, I know we're close to episode 100, but I think I need to take a bit of a hiatus because I just was kind of at a low point. And he was like, all right, cool. And then I said, a couple days later, I said, just hold off on that for a minute, because we had a weird timing anyway, where we had 1 week off because where we had recorded, I believe, with McBannerface, and then I was supposed to have an interview on the Friday with Garrett Weinzierl, but that got moved, and I don't know when we have to still reschedule it. That got moved because of the hurricane season, and there was a hurricane bearing down on them. It hit Wednesday, and they weren't in a position to do an episode then. So I will probably reach out after episode 100 and try to reschedule that. But that got canceled, so I had a week and a half off from doing anything on the podcast, and it just was, the time I needed. I said, hold off, Doc, let's go ahead and just give me a minute here. And we came back, and we had a couple episodes with World Datum Pilot to talk about the set releasing, and it was good. I don't want to not do this. I love this, And I did need to take a little bit of time for myself, but I think we're back on track. As you can see, I'm back on this podcast. So if you're listening to this, thank you for listening to me ramble for a little while. I needed to kind of get a lot of things out of my system, and thank you for listening. Hopefully you listen to Bread and Butter too, because I love that show and I love what we do. And I'm looking forward to the next 100 episodes. But I guess I'm done talking. Have a great day.